rocking with the guys back there. You went to which high school?
Rockford Guilford.
Yeah. Bob's presentation today is part of the Rockford University Forum Series. The presentation not only recognizes International Day of Peace, but it's also doing double duty for us too in kicking off our year-long series in the Jane Addams Center on the participatory arts. Over the course of the year, faculty from not only the Arts and Humanities College, but from other parts of campus too, will be engaging students in creating art that makes a social impact and aims for social change through community outreach experiences. Please watch for notices about those special events that will be held on campus as part of our participatory arts series. Now I'm pleased that Bob will help us kick off this series with his presentation, The Art of Peace Building, celebrating RU alumnus, artist, and peace builder Roland Posca. The presentation will focus on the work of Posca and how art is used as a tool for peace building. Schlehuber will share Posca's declarations of interdependence and ask afterwards if attendees will sign the art if they agree to end violence and prejudice and achieve respect for all. Over the next year, the declarations will be made available for signing across Rockford and across the campus too. And will culminate in a showing on our university campus for 2023 International Day of Peace. Please help me in welcoming Bob to our presentation.
All right. Well, hello. It's nice to meet everyone. It's nice to be back in Rockford. I want to give a few thank yous before I get to tell you about my good friend, Roland Posca, who got his BFA here from Rockford University. So it's a lot of homecomings of sorts today for us all. I just want to thank Jim and Pam Keeling again. My mom is here with her partner, Don, who have been just endless support for all of my work. And the music you guys heard coming in, that's the Lone Canary up here, so we give it up for them. I've been in and out of the city the last 18 years since I graduated from high school, and those are some of the people that when I come back to Rockford, I visit with, and they ground me here in the community that I love and that I'm a part of, even if I'm not always here. So International Day of Peace, I think Jim and Pam, you guys introduced me to International Day of Peace about a decade ago. And I don't think I've ever been here for an International Day of Peace since I've conceptually known about them. I've been in Washington, D.C. doing events and other events around the world, so it means the world to me to be here with all of you, to share Roland Posca, a good friend of mine, an artist of Rockford, to tell you a little bit about peace building, which I just so deeply believe in, and I think it's such a great way for us to organize our communities, engage our communities, and bring people together. So over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Roland, I'll tell you a little bit about peace building, and I'll tell you a little bit more, as Mary alluded to, the project we're going to kick off officially today and run for a year. To incentivize you to pay attention to the presentation, to be a part of it, I brought these posters that were made for Roland Posca's 25th anniversary. And where's the young, smart woman who quickly told me, when I told her I graduated from high school in 2004, she said, that's when I was born. So I'm going to do some math. This was made in 1990 for the 25th anniversary of Roland Posca's work. So then that was 1990, it's 2022 now, so it would be the what anniversary of his work? 25th anniversary in 1990, plus 32, 57. So I have these posters. Roland's wife, Louise, was kind enough to let us bring these. So if you participate in the presentation today, there's posters that Mary will help run out to you here shortly. So this is my friend Roland. This is me and him at one of my alma maters at American University, where we got to show these pieces about 7 years ago. Roland grew up in Scotland, and he moved to the United States before World War II to come and get his bachelor's of art right here at Rockford College, now of course Rockford University. He graduated with his Master's of Fine Arts degree in 1963 from Cranbrook, and then he established Fishy Whale Press. That was his printing press here in Rockford in 1963. He also taught at Rockford University and helped set up the lithograph department here on campus, which still exists today, so his legacy continues on this campus. He then went to be the head of faculty at the printmaking department at the Lehman School of Art in Milwaukee, and then went on to co-found Milwaukee Arts Institute, eventually passed away in 2017. And today, people know him as the Rockford University alumnus. People know him as an artist. But today, on International Day of Peace, I'm going to argue he was something more than those two. I'm going to argue today, and you can tell me if I'm right at the end of the presentation, he was also a peace builder. I'm going to tell you a little bit more why I'm going to argue that today. So can somebody read this for the first poster? This is Roland Posca in his own words. Who would like to have a read?
You win a prize if you read.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
My philosophy is that everything in nature is the result of forces meeting or parting. The thing I was interested in was not the objects in the landscape, not the result of the forces, but the forces themselves.
So Roland really wanted to capture that moment when people and things and nature came together. That special moment, that one moment in a lifetime when all of those different parts united. That's what he wanted to capture in his art. So let's hear a little bit more. This is Grace Coach. She works for a gallery in North Carolina that holds a lot of Posca's work, and she talks a little bit more about what Roland was interested in. So who is our second hand? I have another. Yes, please.
Roland Posca was also concerned with the balance between the peaceful and violent natures of humanity, as well as our ability to push each other away and bring each other closer. All of these boundaries are rough and ill-defined. These concepts informed and defined in his, body of work, which takes the form of lithographs and college-like cotton fiber and pigment paintings and sculptures.
Great. So we're going to talk a little bit more about these lithographs in depth. And what you can see there on the left is one of his cotton fiber pieces. And he has these great big cotton fiber pieces. And I brought with, this is a piece that broke off one of the larger sculptures he had. So you actually can see what his work looks like and feels like in these huge installations. So I brought this cotton pulp with, and this is made by Roland's hands about 30 years ago. And so I'll pass this around for you guys to have a look at. While somebody read what Roland wrote about his sun prayer pieces. Who would like to read this? Please.
I'm very pleased with the sun prayer paintings, for they are the essence of color, form, and texture, expanding and compressing and fluctuating environmental fields. I have searched down to the basics, and the image that I have put together, I feel begins to capture that feeling of nature and that I sense throughout.
So he was looking for all these different parts in nature and people coming together and using his color, his paper, his imagination to recreate that in his pieces of art. And so within his art, he wanted to show those concepts. So within it, he made different series of water and trees to represent nature. So you guys can see there, and you can see how these pieces here as we talk as well. He also used sunspots and raindrops throughout the pieces, again, to show nature. And he used the colors red, white, black, brown, and yellow to represent the great human races. So when we look at these pieces, you're going to see all those different concepts hidden within his art. He also went on to make these 15 lithograph prints. These are declarations of interdependence. There's 15 pieces in the series that he made between 1988 and 1994. There's 15 total pieces. You got one in the hallway, another one at the doorway. There's two here, and a couple more on these easels. And within these pieces, he worked with the same themes. He used water and trees. He used sunspots and raindrops. And he used the colors red, white, black, brown, and yellow. And to expand on the usage of those 5 colors to represent the great human races, each of the borders of the 15 prints are one of those 5 colors. So again, showing that connectedness of race through the usage of colors. And now I want to show you a video of Posca actually making these declarations along with some of his cotton fiber pieces.
Say that this stone. Thank God it's over. Takes almost a week or two to finish this first drawing on the stone. Because the stone is a living thing. It's got all kinds of imperfections that you have to work around with. It has a will of its own. And unless you're willing to live with its own will, you should stick to aluminum plates or something else. But that's the beauty of a litho stone. The key to professionalism is production. Most artists don't like to go through all this work.
artist and the craftsman, Roland Pasca. And this is where I really got hooked into Roland, because I really loved his art, and I loved looking at these different pictures. I loved that nature. I loved the connectedness with humans. But then he had this other layer in the 1980s around culture. And within these different messages, he hid on these different decorations, different cultural messages. So for example, on this piece that I have up here, there's a hidden message that says AIM, the American Indian Movement, which was started by Dennis Banks in 1968 to advocate for the rights of sovereign nations within the United States. So does anybody see the hidden message within the piece? And now it's a reverse image because it was done on stone onto paper, so you're going to get a mirrored image. Does anybody see it hidden in there? I'm going to give you guys a little help. Now do you see it there hidden within the work? And afterwards you can come up and you can see it a little bit more clearly that you have this hidden cultural message. And on this piece on the right, does anybody see it on the right? That's the piece up there on the right-hand side. You see this cultural message of roots spelled backwards along the bottom of the piece. So now he's added this extra layer. Now he has nature, race, and culture coming together. So this is where Roland Pasca, the artist, for me, transforms into Roland Pasca, the peace builder. Because what he did next grabbed me and my attention for the last 8 years. He started asking people to sign his declarations, and people agreed to end violence and prejudice and achieve respect for all. He's having people engage with his art, to work with his art, to be a part of that moment, and that's exactly what peace builders do. And at this point, for me, Roland Pasca became a peace builder and became one of my biggest partners with my work over the last decade. And I not only signed that Declaration of Interdependence, as you can see there in Atlanta, Georgia. Whenever I traveled anywhere, I took one of the declarations with to New York, Puerto Rico, Missouri, to places like Niagara Falls, Taipei City, and Kyiv, Ukraine, to Zion National Park, to Istanbul, and to Madison, transforming these pieces to collect signatures to be a living document of interdependence around the world. So that's why Roland Pasca to me is a peace builder. So let me tell you a little bit more about peace building and what peace builders do, and you can tell me if I'm correct in calling Pasca a peace builder. Peace builders understand that peace and conflict within society and nature are an output of individuals and organizations coming together and partying. Nothing happens in a vacuum. People interact with others, with organizations. We breathe the same air, we use the same roads, we go to the same businesses, the same nonprofits host us for workout classes. We're all sharing this space. Nothing just happens in a vacuum. It's all about our community coming together and partying. Peace builders are deeply interested in the relationship between people, groups, and nature. And as Pasca talked about, he was also interested in bringing those organizations and people together in harmony in nature. And we create peace-building projects and initiatives, like signing declarations of interdependence. So a few peace builders that I really love. Jane Addams, of course, who you know, who went to Rockford Seminary and started settlement houses, training low-skilled workers and workers who didn't speak English on how to integrate into the community using education and innovative creative arts project at the settlement house. Colin McCarthy, one of my two heroes, another one, my mom, shout out to my mom. Colin McCarthy taught thousands of youth peace education across the Washington, D.C. area, innovative and creatively thinking about how we teach young people about peace and conflict resolution. And one of my mentors, Dr. Scheherazade Jafari, who was the first executive director at the Point of View Academy at George Mason School of Conflict Analysis and Resolution, where they work to decolonize peace and education and study gender studies. So those peace builders work to create peace-building projects and initiatives. Peace-building projects work to build new relationships and deepen pre-existing ones around shared experiences. Those new and deepened relationships create new systems. Peace-building projects and initiatives come in a range of forms, including parades, concerts, theater, participatory art projects, symposiums, dialogue groups, and mutual aid efforts. So I want to work through a peace-building exercise. I want to show you how my brain thinks when I go into a community, how I analyze a community to then create projects and initiatives to bring those communities in harmony with one another. So for another poster, can somebody be brave enough to read this passage? Please.
Can they split it up?
They can split it, sure. You go until you run out of steam.
Recently in Norfolk, Virginia, a young woman the age of 17 years old was found dead after overdosing on drugs. The young woman was very popular at school and participated in many programs run by teachers. Her favorite subject was math. The young woman played soccer for her school and was an active member of the debate club. This was not the first instance of drug usage among the youth in the community and not the first time a young student had died. The city government and health agencies have been working extremely hard to stop the drug flow and educate the community on the problem. Several nonprofits and community centers have also begun offering programming for students and parents. In addition, several local business owners have begun speaking up on the issue as more students are entering their businesses high on drugs, and youth that work at the businesses have been missing work shifts.
Thank you. So here we have Norfolk, Virginia, and we have a 17-year-old girl dies of a drug overdose. But as we talked about, she doesn't die in an overdose in a vacuum. It's not just her. There's a range of different groups and communities she's connected to, she's a part of, she travels through. So for more posters here, can you name other groups that this young woman is connected to? You can just shout them out when you're ready.
Their school.
Her school. Who else is she connected to? Indirectly, directly?
Debate club.
The debate club, so an after-school program, yep.
Her soccer team.
Soccer team, great. Who else is recognized in there? What institutions, organizations, or people?
Her city.
Her city, that's great. The city, the government's in there as they look to do outreach.
Business community.
The business community, exactly. That's both the businesses as employers as well as people selling to the students. We have nonprofits in there, different community agencies. We see that it's not just this 17-year-old girl, it's all of these different organizations that surround this young woman. And that's what a peace builder is curious about. How are all of these different organizations working together that are leading to a situation where you have a young woman dying of a drug overdose? So peace builders are really interested in how all of those different parts are working together. We're really interested in how the different organizations work with one another, and then we're interested in what happens within those organizations to understand how the different groups that comprise it, like the government, you have City of Rockford, state reps, national rep, the aldermen, same with nonprofits, there's a lot of different nonprofits. So we're interested in all of those different layers and parts working together. We're interested in understanding how those different groups communicate with one another and mapping that. And we're also interested in how much power or influence each of those different groups have within their community to address a given issue. And so we come back to our example of the 17-year-old girl and look at our community. What we're going to find is that there's great power in equities, and there's not very much communication between the different groups. And when you go into communities and you find that there's power imbalances, not very much communication either at the whole or within the groups, you're going to find communities that have violence, disease, poverty, and inequity. And that's when a peace builder comes in. A peace builder thinks about what programs and initiatives can they bring to that community to eventually transform that community to have more communication and to bring those different groups in balance with one another. And over time, bring those groups closer into cohesion, create peaceful, healthy, just, equitable communities. So I want to give you an example. In 2014, here in Rockford, we decided that the issue we wanted to address collectively as a city was that there was a lack of civility and respect. So we went around and we said, do you agree with that message? Do you want to be a part of this? And we brought our different groups together, including the health, business, nonprofit, education, and government. So the peace builder is saying, how do I get all those different people at a table? What type of events will they come to? Will they engage with? That they want to be in communication with one another. So we decided on executive roundtables and community concerts. We brought executive leaders from each of those different groups on the top picture there. The Hinshaw Law, Sunil Puri, shout out who's here with us. Sunil is in that picture, Jim's in that picture. So thank you guys for this over 8 years of collaboration now. But we brought executive leaders together to define what is respect. How do we measure it? How do we communicate it? How do we create programs that incentivize it and celebrate it? And on the bottom, we held a community concert at Rockford's Coronado Theater, which is downtown. Beautiful theater, I think 1927. It was made, built, absolutely incredible. We did a concert there with some local musicians in the back, being youth choir of Rockford and Harlem, and then Peter Yarrow and some of his family. And so same thing as a peace builder, this is what I see when I create my events. In Washington, D.C. the last 6 years, I helped with the Martin Luther King Parade, working to create social cohesion and safety in the community. When I go and create that event, when I bring all these different groups to the parade, this is how I'm seeing my event. The activists, the civic associations, the health groups, how do we bring them to the table? What the community sees that comes to the parade looks more like this. They see the parade, but the peace builder behind it sees that as a vehicle to bring these different groups in collaboration and in experiences together. Same with concerts to promote Israeli-Palestinian peace. This is what a peace builder sees, think tanks, student groups, faith groups coming together, and what concert goers see is this. So here's what I want to expand on what Mary said. And I want to make an argument that we live right now in a city and a country and a world that is experiencing a moment of independence or a lack of interdependence. I don't know about you, but COVID was tough for me. Even though I was connecting with people, I was working with people, I think for a lot of us, it was a tough time of isolation where we turned into ourselves and had a lot of fear. I know a lot of messaging and promotion of different TV and music celebrates the individual success, often at the expense of the group success or the environment success. That we live in a moment right now where we need more messages of interdependence. And so what I want to do with your help is use these declarations over the course of the next year, starting today, through a year from now, see all of you in a year from now, to bring these across the city of Rockford to all different groups, all different communities, neighborhoods, institutions, to have these declarations signed, to create a project that shows our interdependence as a community. So I need your help. I need any of you that are interested in this project and helping me shepherd these around Rockford over the next year to let me know. I think I've asked all of you to follow me on Instagram. If you have that QR code, there's bookmarks out there with one of the pieces on the back you can grab. And I just need to connect. I need partners. I need people to build peace with. I need your help. So before I ask you one last question, let me first ask, can I make the argument Roland Pasco was a peace builder? Yeah, okay, anybody else? Yes, I need that. He's not here to defend himself, so I need you guys to help me make that argument. That's my first question. Second question, before I get to my last question, do you guys want to hear a little bit more music from Lone Canary? Yeah! So as I whet your appetite for our Rockford series, I got out and took a few photos to prep. You can see a couple there. Shout out to those Rockford University students in the upper left corner that I ran into at the city market last week. If anybody knows any of those three students, they have posters here waiting for them. Jim and Pam Keeling and Sunil Puri's Peace Plaza there on Perryville I went to. A beautiful photo and art piece by the Rockford Area Arts Council, and then Mayor McNamara signed the piece a couple days ago. And there, of course, the Rockford symbol, Davis Park, and my good friend, Roland Pasco. So, my last question for you guys all. Will you sign the Declaration of Interdependence? Yes. So we,
Point for me to say a couple of things?
please, I'm just going to let you guys know there's 3 available.
I'm breaking the mood.
She's going to break the mood.
Okay.
We're going to make 3 available to sign today. There's this one here on the right that you'll see up in these pictures. The Jane Addams Center is going to adopt this piece and support the signings of it. So you guys are going to be the first people to sign it. And what the hope is that 12, 13 other entities, and we already have a few lined up, will each take the different pieces and then take it within their communities, and then we'll exchange them over the course of the year to get those cross-cultural connections. So you have this piece available to sign, this piece, and then there's another white one in the hallway, and you sign your name and your birthday. So when we break here after Mary says a few words, you'll be able to come up here or out in the hallway to sign your name and birthday.
I would like to recognize one of our judges that I overlooked for our essay and arts competition. Mary McNamara Bernstein is back there in the back, so thank you. And there will be refreshments. Where are the refreshments?
They're in the other room, maybe?
Other back.
Okay, there are refreshments out there, so please hang around and enjoy talking
there, and then I think we have a few minutes if there's any questions, because I know that maybe there was a hand in the back too. Yes?
What if you've signed one of these already?
You signed them again and again and again.
Thank you.
My good friend Sunil Puri signed one. He signed a few of these over the years, so we got his signature up here. So you can sign as many as you want. Yes?
Do you have any other events like this that people who were not able to attend today could come and see?
Yeah, over the course of the year, the plan is to hold different events. So the best is to share the QR code, the bookmark with folks, have them follow on Instagram, have them subscribe to the newsletter, and then they'll have different opportunities to sign. Ann O'Keefe, Mary, hopefully you guys will have events at the Rockford Library, the Arts Council, the Art Museum, hopefully back here. I was at the bank the other day and I was opening a new, personal information, opening a new credit card, and the person helping me open the credit card had graduated here with their BFA. And they were like beyond excited for this event today. So it's so neat to see all these Rockford University students across the city, and that's one group of people that I'm really excited to engage with and bring back to the campus to engage with current students like yourselves.
We are also making a recording that's going to be posted on our webpage too. So you could share that with other individuals too who couldn't make it today.
All right, well, I have markers. If you guys want to come up, we can chat, and then we'll go out in the hall for some more fellowship. But thank you so much again for being here.